I can think the State Department is bad and Assange has his own agenda at the same time. Oh, okay. So I guess he should be fucking tortured and sent to prison then. Got it. Okay. We'll do a serious video, not Jake Tran. Fault lines, Al Jazeera. This will be
a... Julian once or twice a week. And it changes from week to week. Some weeks I can't see him. I have to take 2 buses and 2 trains to get there. It's quite long, and the visit is...
Make sure the doc includes the WikiLeaks and Assange's complicity in Russia's 2016 disinformation campaign, which was a huge factor leading the Trump's election. That is one of the things that I'm like annoyed with him on. Not that I'm like a Hillary Clinton fan or anything, but Julian Assange did definitely despise Hillary Clinton. And while I do appreciate all the DNC leaks, okay, personally, and I think that was a good thing that he did, I do wish that there was some fucking RNC leaks as well. Because the people that were able to tap into the DNC servers, you know, they had the capacity to go into the RNC servers too. There was so much Trump shit that he could have fucking leaked. I don't know if he had access to those documents and he held it back, or I don't know. I do personally think it's fucking ridiculous. Having said that, however, his complicity in Russia's 2016 disinformation campaign, that's a little bit ridiculous because you're mad at the wrong person. You're not mad at the DNC for doing some fuck shit. You're mad at the person for leaking the fuck shit, which is crazy. Like, get mad at the right people. Get mad at the right people. The right people you should be getting mad at are not the reporters. Okay, don't get mad at me for reporting the top of the hour ad break to you, for example. Get mad because you haven't subscribed and you will actually see the 3-minute ad break. And for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime, you too can avoid the top of the hour ad break. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
About an hour and a bit. And then...
Dennis Man! Thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour.
It's just such a bizarre thing. Julian is in the harshest prison in the UK. He's not serving a sentence, and the US wants to put him in prison for 175 years about publishing the truth about the Iraq and Afghan wars.
We, journalists, are at our best when we share with activists and lawyers the goal of exposing illegality and wrongdoing.
It's been 13 years since the founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, entered the global stage. In 2010, the Australian...
Nobody mad about Russian disinformation is saying shit now that the government of Israel is openly botting and doing mass misinformation on social media. Yeah, well, they're also fucking personally, going along with the misinformation, so of course they wouldn't get mad.
Published the largest trove of classified U.S. documents to date, upending the government's narrative about its wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
It's another fact from the files that indicates that a much, much higher civilian death toll is likely.
These publications were a game changer. This really opened the eyes of the public to what was going on.
It's my great pleasure to present you with the Sydney Peace Medal for your conviction that truth matters and that justice depends on it.
Assange has spent much of his time since then confined in one way or another. In 2019, the U.S. charged him with publishing classified materials and has been fighting to extradite him.
It's the first time the government has tried to use the Espionage Act against a publisher. That really is, something new and something especially dangerous.
They're keeping Julian in prison because they want to send a message that if they can do it to someone who has won dozens of prizes for the very publications that he's being prosecuted over, they can do it to anyone. This is a precedent-setting case.
On this episode of Fault Lines, we look at what Julian Assange's case could mean for press freedom and the consequences he's faced for publishing state secrets.
The government, instead of dealing with the policies disclosed by Assange, they've done what they always do. They blame the messenger.
Isn't publishing classified material incredibly dangerous for our state safety? Yeah, bro. I think that is a question that you shouldn't be asking. The real question is, why is the government doing some fuck shit? That's the real question to ask in this circumstance. Okay. Yeah, no, I want to know when my government is doing war crimes with my fucking tax dollars. Okay. That's what I want to know. Maybe I'm different. Neek with another Ohio banger take. Listen, he's a Mormon. Okay.
That volcano's rolling.
Mormons have a thing in their brains where they have to defend the CIA.
Erupting.
It's already erupting. It's an explosive eruption. Julian and I have 2 children, Gabriel, who's 5.5, and Max, who's going to be 4 in a few weeks' time. So Max was a few weeks old when...
The funniest part about this situation is that, like, in the fucking movies and shit, you literally celebrate, cherish motherfuckers who, like, leak this kind of, you know, leak this kind of information as heroes after the fact. But while it's happening, a lot of motherfuckers are like, whoa, 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 hold up now. You know, hey, what are we doing here? Like, this is like good guy shit, okay? Please, think about it.
Julian was arrested. The answer I give my children about why their father is in prison is he angered some very powerful people who put him in prison. That Julian is in prison because he did something right, not because he did anything wrong.
The video is
To understand the case against Assange, we wanted to look back at some of the secrets he exposed. Perhaps the most famous one is this video of a U.S. attack in Iraq, which he called collateral murder.
Come on, let us shoot. Okay, clear. Come on. Clear.
their desire was simply to kill and to find any excuse in the rules of engagement which permitted that killing. And the behavior of the pilots is like they are playing a computer game.
Light them all up. Come on, fire!
The footage showed a 2007 U.S. helicopter attack in Baghdad that killed...
Wait, what? He just leaked information from USA, not from Russia or China? Don't you think that's fishy? Wait, what? Bro, why don't you leak information from Russia and China then? Like, what are we talking about, dude? The fuck? Wow, he was leaking war crimes that America was engaging in. Why not all the war crimes? Like, you just are looking at like straight up murder in front of your eyes and you're like, well, you want to lock this murderer up? But like, how about all the other murderers? Do you think that this is a decent fucking argument to make? Well, like, you must think that. That's why you came out with it, but it's awesome. Hey, why do you guys care about Dr. Disrespect, you know, DMing minors inappropriately when there's so many other pedophiles to care about? It's like, well, okay, well, you know, this is the one we care about right now. Why do you not care about it at all? Like, what's happening here?
more than a dozen people, including a 22-year-old Reuters photojournalist, Namir Noor-el-Din, and his colleague, Saeed Shama.
Yeah, this is Saeed, and this is Namir.
Light them all up. Come on, fire! Keep shooting.
وعندما شاهدت الفيلم شاهدت نمير يعني مباشرة يعني عرفت أنه هو نمير.
I don't know. I totally agree that he did good things with the Iraq war leaks, but the DNC leaks and tying him to Seth Rich didn't make any sense. Yeah, that's just like kook guy shit. But like the DNC leaks, what did we accomplish with the DNC leak besides creating more infighting? Brother, that is crazy. Once again, you are upset. You are not upset at the right people. For the DNC leaks, who you should be upset at is the people having private correspondence and like very openly communicating with mainstream media outlets in an effort to fucking game the goddamn primary system. You're the one who's being duped. Okay? It's crazy that should not call into question everything you understand about the supposed democracy that we have here. And instead, you're mad about the guy who published the leaked documentation. Yeah, the Seth Rich stuff is just like, it's kook shit, okay? You're a fucking kook. And I don't know why that is even remotely a conversation. But it's so funny. It's so funny to me that, like, motherfuckers are more upset about, again, Julian Assange publishing this documentation or whoever hacked into the DNC servers, hacking into the DNC servers, and not necessarily, you know, the contents of the leak. I personally think it's good that we got more information about the ways in which Julian Assange, or not the ways in which Julian Assange, the ways in which we got, you know, more, the ways in which the Democratic Party was, you know, collaborating with mainstream media. There's a dead body here. It was a moment I don't wish anyone to experience, he says.
يمر بها أحد.
Hotel 26, Crazy Horse, 18. Oh yeah, look at those dead bastards. 002, nice. Let's shoot. Thank you.
تقريبا كل الكلام اللي كان يقال طيار مع القاعدة.
Between the pilot and the base, I hear it at night. I memorize the entire exchange.
اسمعه في ذهني ويتردد في ذهني بالليل.
Julian Assange is the reason why Trump won. We all loved Hill Dog until he leaked on her. Yeah. I feel like there is a million different fucking ways. There's a million different people to get more mad at in the process in all of these leaks than before you get mad at Julian Assange. Like there's the DNC. There is like the Democratic Party that thought Hillary Clinton was a good person to... there was the Democratic Party that was a valid and that thought that Hillary Clinton was a valid candidate.
Oh yeah, look at that, right through the windshield.
I remember crying when I saw it, and cried many times since when I watched that. It was just so cruel.
For years, U.S. officials claimed that the Iraqis had been killed in a firefight. But it was only after WikiLeaks published the video 3 years later that the government's narrative unraveled.
So that there was that sense of, oh my God, so they knew all along, and they must have seen this stuff.
A military investigation cleared the pilots involved in the attack. The only people who faced any charges were those who leaked and published the video.
أظهر الحقيقة هذه طبعا بالألم اللي تسببت به هذه الحقيقة أنه نشوف أخي وهو يموت، لكن هي بنفس الوقت جلبت راحة نوعا ما أنه عرفنا كيف قتل نمير. كم من الحوادث الأخرى التي قامت بها القوات الأمريكية بدون تصوير ولم تصور. كم من الناس ماتوا بهذه الطريقة.
Months after WikiLeaks released the video, it published nearly 400,000 classified military documents about the U.S.-led war in Iraq, capturing headlines.
Modern warfare with its high-tech weapons was supposed to spare civilians, but in Iraq that turned out to be a false promise.
We estimate that when fully analyzed, these logs will bring to the public knowledge more than 15,000 previously unreported civilian deaths.
The disclosure provides a trove of new evidence on the violence, torture, and suffering that's befallen Iraq since the 2003 U.S. invasion.
Here, for the first time, was official documents, diplomats, not only confirming that these things were happening, but they were happening in a huge scale.
Well, this particular set of documents is the most extraordinary compendium of war that has ever been released.
It was astonishing. I mean, no one had ever seen that amount of material or that nature of material in that quantity before. This was an immensely complicated publishing task.
Alan Rusbridger was the editor-in-chief at The Guardian at the time. It was one of several major news organizations that WikiLeaks partnered with to publish hundreds of thousands of classified materials between 2010 and 2011. They were uploaded to WikiLeaks' website by an anonymous source and then vetted.
We spent weeks reading the material and saying, well, this is significant, this has public interest, this shows hypocrisy or deception. There was certainly evidence of the American military behaving in a violent, murderous, sometimes way, and in deceiving the American people about it.
The leaks exposed how the U.S. government was turning a blind eye to torture, rape, and murder by Iraqi authorities, and how its drone campaign in Afghanistan led to an increase in civilian deaths. But they also revealed how flawed intelligence landed hundreds in Guantanamo Bay prison, and the reality of U.S. diplomatic operations around the world. Assange is the only publisher facing any charges for releasing this material.
To me, Julian Assange and WikiLeaks did a major public service. As a national security reporter, if you were just relying on what you get from the agencies, you'd be peeling back a very thin layer of an onion. So you're reliant on whistleblowers.
Could you imagine this information being disclosed if it weren't for WikiLeaks?
Absolutely no, there's no way. You can maybe access them after 50 years, after 40 years, and at that point, that kind of information is not helpful to the public.
Of all the stories that WikiLeaks published, how many were proven to be untrue?
None of the stories have ever been shown to be anything other than true. If it was a libel, if it was misinformation, disinformation, you could partly understand why the US and British governments might be upset. But why are they upset about publishing the truth?
Well, good afternoon. The United States strongly condemns the illegal disclosure of classified information.
I met one of the State Department officials at a private party, and he was really angry, and saying, you're from the Guardian, you've got blood in your hands.
In addition to endangering particular individuals, disclosures like these tear at the fabric of the proper function of responsible government.
And all these years later, did you have blood on your hands?
If they'd discovered that someone had been killed as a result of the WikiLeaks disclosures, we'd have known about it. They would have said, you're responsible for that, and nothing ever happened.
The Pentagon's chief investigator of the leaks admitted as much in 2013.
Yep.
Under oath, he said he couldn't provide a specific example of individuals killed as a result of WikiLeaks' disclosures. Nevertheless, Chelsea Manning, the former Army intelligence analyst who leaked the documents, spent 7 years in prison until President Obama commuted her sentence in 2017.
The sentence that she received was disproportionate relative to what other leakers had received.
At the time, the Department of Justice decided not to pursue charges against Assange.
They gave two reasons. One was Julian Assange is a publisher, he's not a hacker. And there's no way to go after WikiLeaks that would not set a precedent against the rest of the press.
Yeah.
That position changed when the administration did.
2017 was when things got Shakespearean. There had been this...
They outflanked Obama on this shit. Mr. fucking prosecute all the whistleblowers himself. Mr. Drone Strike King himself, okay?
Growing tension and this real deep fear and concern about what to do about WikiLeaks.
The Trump administration wanted to use this case not just as an opportunity to go after Assange, but as an opportunity to go after national security journalism.
Isn't that funny? That the libs in the chat, the Democratic Party loyalists in the chat, are unironically taking a Trumpian approach to Julian Assange. Don't you consider that weird? Definitely, you should probably take a cold, hard look at what your worldview, what you stand for, if you find yourself getting mad that Julian Assange led to Donald Trump being elected, while simultaneously taking the Donald Trumpian approach on how to deal with motherfucking Julian Assange.
Much of Assange's story and the U.S.'s case against him is based here in the United Kingdom. It's where he spent much of his time under threat of prosecution by the U.S.
And why are they going after WikiLeaks? Well, they want to stop this publication of information that embarrasses them.
After the leaks in 2010, Assange faced sexual assault allegations in Sweden. He was never charged. Fearing extradition to the U.S., he sought asylum here at the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he remained confined to a small flat for nearly 7 years.
The United States is conducting an aggressive investigation in relation to trying to get up an espionage charge against me personally, and the FBI has even gone to Wales in the United Kingdom to visit various people.
Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, has been arrested in London.
Assange was dragged out of the embassy and arrested by British police on a U.S. extradition request in 2019.
Assange is wanted in the U.S. for leaking of hundreds of thousands of classified military documents.
That same day, the U.S. Department of Justice indicted Assange under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Then, weeks later, the U.S. added 17 charges, all for activities that national security journalists engage in every day.
Soliciting government secrets, communicating with sources confidentially, maintaining the confidentiality of the source's identity, and then publishing classified information.
And it concerns publications about the Iraq War Log, the Afghan War Diaries, the US State Department cables, the Guantanamo Bay detainee assessment briefs, and the rules of engagement, which were part of the collateral murder publication.
17 of the 18 charges against Julian Assange fall under the Espionage Act. It's the first time the act has been used against a publisher.
You hear the phrase Espionage Act and you think, well, this is about spies. This is about people who want to harm American national security. What the act is about in practice is whistleblowers.
The timing of Assange's indictment matters. And to understand why, you have to go back to his time at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Particularly after Ecuador elected a president who was less sympathetic towards Assange and wanted to strengthen ties with the US.
An embassy, if they're not backing you, is a black hole. It has all the legal carve-outs you would need to just disappear a person. Second half of 2017 onwards, it was clear that that was not a safe place for Julian. Like, you could feel it in the air. I feared for his life.
At the time, the CIA was allegedly spying on Assange, including privileged conversations with his attorneys and physicians. CIA officials were reportedly concerned that he would go to Russia, as whistleblower Edward Snowden had done. Especially after WikiLeaks released Vault 7, a series which detailed how the CIA was hacking into devices to conduct electronic surveillance.
It was like an apocalypse event for the agency. They had seen other agencies have leaks, and they thought, this will never happen to us. So the fact that all of a sudden, this was being laid bare on WikiLeaks' website caused CIA's director, Mike Pompeo, to become, according to our sources, absolutely irate.
It's time to call out WikiLeaks for what it really is. A non-state hostile intelligence service.
When Pompeo took over, he would tell people within CIA, I want you to draw up.
This is how you can tell the difference between a real progressive and the difference between people who are just like Western chauvinists with some good opinions on social issues. People that don't think critically, that think that like Julian Assange is a bad guy, are very susceptible to just reiterating what the fuck they saw on the television at the time. That's why you're seeing so many people be like, well, isn't he a piece of shit? Isn't he a bad guy? Isn't he like, didn't he like compromise American lives or whatever? It's because you heard someone else say that, and now you just, are repeating it unconditionally. You have to go back to the drawing board and reconsider why you felt that way. Where this came from.
Things that you could do against WikiLeaks. Don't worry about the legality. Give me the art of the possible. I'll worry about the lawyers.
Zach Dorfman worked on a year-long investigation for Yahoo News, which exposed that the CIA was doing more than spying on Assange. They were also allegedly having high-level discussions with the White House about assassinating him.
Trump said, well, why don't we just kill the guy? But which is eminently believable because it's kind of, Trump would say stuff, he would just toss off things,
While these discussions were happening, a plot to kidnap Assange from the embassy was reportedly more advanced.
If they try to take him, what are we going to do? Do we ram into a car that's carrying him, a Russian diplomatic vehicle? What if there's like a gun battle? Who's going to do the shooting? Is it going to be us? Is it going to be the Brits? What if he tries to take off by plane? Do we shoot the tires on the plane out? And that's the stuff that really worried folks, because they were advocated for by the CIA director himself.
In an interview with Megyn Kelly, Mike Pompeo was asked about this investigation. He admitted that there's pieces of it that are true.
Look, I can't say much about this other than whoever those 30 people who allegedly spoke with one of these reporters, they should all be prosecuted for speaking about classified activity inside the Central Intelligence Agency. Maybe they,
Pompeo.
See, when you're defending this shit, when you're defending the State Department, that's what you're defending, 100%. Because if they come after Assange, they're gonna come after any motherfucker. How dare they talk about us openly fantasizing about murdering Julian Assange?
Calling for the prosecution of our sources meant that our story was true, because you cannot be prosecuted for something that isn't true. Nonetheless, having the former CIA director himself come out and essentially confirm it is a big deal.
Mike Pompeo went rogue. He went rogue in relation to Julian. He went rogue in relation to WikiLeaks. And there were a lot of people who disagreed with that.
What these Trump administration lawyers said was, look, it may be illegal, period, for you to do this, for you to render Assange and bring him back to the US. But it's definitely illegal for you to do this if there aren't charges against him. So there were charges that were basically rushed.
You see, if you see what's happening to Julian as a legal problem, you don't understand it. It's a political problem. It's a political persecution.
If extradited to the U.S. under the Espionage Act, Julian Assange faces a 175-year sentence. 170 years are just for receiving and publishing classified information.
The thing about the Espionage Act is that there is no defense to it. So you can't stand in front of a jury and say, this is why I did it. Please let me tell you about the public interest. It's just, you did it. Go straight to jail.
It makes a felon of anybody who discusses classified information, even if they learn that classified information from a newspaper.
So in this interview, just in listening to disclosures to me...
That's right. We are violating the terms of the Espionage Act in this conversation.
The use of an act which was designed to clamp down on spying against acts of publication in the public interest just seems to me wrong.
Whatever you think of Julian Assange, whether you think he's a hero or a villain, it doesn't matter. What really matters is a prosecution of Assange would have terrible effects on press freedom in the United States.
100%.
A free and independent media. It's the bedrock of democracy. It's how publics stay informed and how governments are held accountable. And around the world, press freedom is under threat.
Since taking office, President Biden's effort to expand press freedom has been a welcome change from the Trump administration.
And yet, so far, the Biden administration is pursuing the same strategy as the Trump administration did. I can't imagine that the Biden administration wants this case to be its press freedom legacy.
Technically, though, the future of this case isn't up to President Biden, but to Attorney General Merrick Garland at the Department of Justice.
Is just as dangerous and deadly.
Garland is going to have to think about
what? I can think the State Department is bad and Assange has his own agenda at the same time. Oh, okay. So I guess he should be fucking tortured and sent to prison then. Got it. Do you think I don't think that Julian Assange has his own agenda? I literally have said that. And I also personally still doubled down and told you that, yes, it doesn't matter that he was like a weirdo fucking libertarian, a bit of a kook. None of that shit matters. He did not deserve to go to fucking jail. He did not deserve to be unjustifiably persecuted in this way. And he absolutely would have caused a shitstorm for setting the possible worst precedent in terms of eroding the First Amendment, freedom of the press. Because if you can do Espionage Act shit, which, by the way, people still are speculating right now, his guilty plea might literally do just that. What a hero, a Russian hero here to peddle all of his propaganda. What? A Russian hero? Dude, Donald Trump wanted to fucking murk him as much as Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump's own administration greatly increased the prosecution against Julian Assange beyond the Obama administration. You fucking dumb, stupid liberals. Oh my God.
Like, the first question he's going to be asked by any judge is, what's the distinction? Like, where's the line between this case and the case tomorrow against the Wall Street Journal? He needs an answer to that question.
We reached out to the Department of Justice for an interview, but they declined, saying they do not comment on matters related to ongoing extradition requests. When we followed up with questions months later, they didn't respond.
Now, I don't understand where the impetus for this is coming from. Is it coming from the Department of Justice? Is it coming from the intelligence agencies? I mean, it's dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
Because if you're basically saying to journalists, national security is out of bounds to you. I don't see it that way. National security apparatus needs to be held to account the same as anyone else.
It goes to the core of democracy.
For me, and I will stand on this, national security reporting is the most important. And that is precisely why it's the absolute fucking worst in mainstream media. Like, NatSec reporters, like actually solid NatSec reporters, are unfortunately not all too common. Most of the NatSec reporting is just basically stenographer shit. Okay? State Department reporters and national security reporters are the types of reporters that are actually cutting through the bipartisan alignment that exists both in the media and also in our. Do you have an example of a good one? I mean, Seymour Hersh, Cy Hersh, great example. Jeremy Scahill is another good example. A lot of these people are people that I've had on the show. Ryan Grimm, Kenny Clips. I'm fucking forgetting. I mean, I'm now forgetting his name. God damn it. God damn it. Is Ryan Grimm not a friend of the show? No, of course he is. Prem Talker is great too. Even Glenn to an extent. I mean, Glenn Greenwald used to be a brilliant NatSec reporter. I wouldn't say that now any longer. What's the dude who eulogized Henry Kissinger for the Rolling Stone? I can't believe I'm forgetting his fucking name. He's awesome. Spencer Ackerman. Thank you. Spencer Ackerman. You're thinking of Aaron Rupar? Yeah.
Unless you can access factual information about what your government is doing in secrecy with your money in your name, it's not democracy.
Assange's lawyers are appealing the U.S.'s extradition request in UK and European courts. In the meantime, he's being detained at Belmarsh Prison in South London. He's been there for more than 3 years without a conviction.
In the government, the appeals process, this can be dragged out for years to come. Are they winning without ever winning a prosecution?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the indictment alone of Assange has a chilling effect on national security journalism.
It's definitely about sending a message to everyone. You should think twice, maybe 10 times before publishing, unless you want to end up like him.
So if you think about it,
just like the primaries that are ongoing in New York District 16 with between George Latimer and Jamal Bowman, that has seen $20 million plus from AIPAC subsidiaries, specifically for the crime of Jamal Bowman speaking out against Israel's atrocities and war crimes and genocide. is going to create a chilling effect on other politicians who might want to be honest about Israel.
What we have is an Australian citizen resident in Britain publishing material that a third country, the Americans, don't want published. I can never imagine American journalists being extradited for publishing something that another states didn't want to be published.
Having Julian in Belmarsh is to silence him and to disappear him. He's the prisoner who has been there the longest on his wing. He's in a cell on his own. He had a mini stroke in October 2021. What we know is that his health is deteriorating for every day that passes.
I think one of the craziest parts about this is that like Australia has quite literally done this to David McBride, who is genuinely being prosecuted as an Australian active duty service member. Active duty service member who leaked the Australian war crimes and the American war crimes on top of that as well. And he's literally, like, the Australian government simultaneously argued for the release of Julian Assange while at the same time was actively going through its own fucking court. Its own court proceedings to punish criminally their own leaker.
Obviously, if you put a person in a cage, it will shorten your life. It will kill you eventually, right? It's not easy, but I don't feel alone at all. I feel like we're getting somewhere, that the world has not forgotten about Julian.
Nice to meet you.
A pleasure.
عندما تبحث عن الحقيقة هي ليست تهمة. احنا كلنا نبحث عن حقائق. لكن السيد أسانج نشر حقيقة غير مرغوب بنشرها.
While we were in London, Stella and Nabil met for the first time.
How is Julian?
He's had a bit of a difficult time.
Please tell him our greeting and our appreciated for him.
Thank you. He wants you to visit him in Belmarsh.
Yes.
He would like you to visit.
Yeah, I would like to visit him, and I hope I will visit him here,
Yes.
in his house.
Oh, thank you so much.
This is the last picture.
Pictures are amazing.
Yes.
What should make the public upset is that it's this perversion that the government who caused millions of victims and millions of refugees is the very same government who dare to say that Julian is a criminal and put lives at risk. It's an incredible upside-down world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry for your loss.
It's not just a meal. We hope in the end justice for all. The first thing for Julian to get free.
If there were a successful prosecution of Assange, American media organizations would have to radically change the way they report about war and foreign policy, and the real losers would be us, the readers, who would have far less access to information we need in order to figure out.
Which, like, the American media has voluntarily done that anyway. Fun fact, that's Nathan Fielder's brother. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God, he looks and sounds exactly like him. Is that a joke? Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Yeah, I'm kidding. Oh, you fucking piece of shit. Oh, why did you do that?
Out whether government officials are doing the job we want them to do.
He literally looks and sounds like him. That is crazy. Why would you do that, bro? That hurt me. That actually hurt me big time. I'm not gonna lie. That hurt my feelings. I got so excited. I had like visions in my mind of this being unironically Nathan Fielder and like Nathan Fielder's brother, and then how like Nathan Fielder actually has like secretly based politics or whatever.
الحقيقة هي
fucking great bait, dude.
يعني هدف سامي لكل الشعوب، فمن الضروري أن يطلع الشعب الأمريكي على هذه الحقائق. خلي المستقبل، خلي نمنع هكذا ضحايا للمستقبل.